every month we bring you a new team that is competing in the Google Lunar XPRIZE, and these are teams from all around the world that are working not with a government, but working privately to try and return humanity back to the moon. The goal of the Google Lunar XPRIZE is to land safely on the moon, travel by any means that you choose, 500 meters across the surface, under the surface, over the surface of the moon, and then safely send back a high-definition video to be seen here on the planet Earth. Team Italia is one of many different teams that are in the process of competing to be the first to achieve this great accomplishment. And we actually have an awesome announcement to make this morning. As of today, it's been announced that the folks at Google and at the XPRIZE Foundation are going to extend the deadline to win the Google Lunar XPRIZE by 1 year. Previously, the goal had been to complete the tasks I just outlined by December of 2015. But recognizing just how challenging it is to get to the moon and the need for launch vehicles and everything else, and the amazing work that has already been done, the decision has been made to extend this deadline 1 year. And there is a caveat on this. There has to be at least one team that is manifested to launch in 2016 for all of the teams to move forward in 2016 with this new deadline. Along with announcing the extension of the deadline to complete the project, the very first of the milestone prizes have been awarded. These are prizes for showing your team has made significant contributions along different needed tasks. So in this case, the astrobiotic team has won a prize for their landing technology, for their mobility technology and for their imaging subsystems. The landing technology prize has yet to be awarded, and there are 9 additional milestone prizes, and the teams that are competing for those are Haikuta, which is in Japan, Team Indus in India, Moon Express in the US, and Part-Time Scientists in Germany. So this is a tremendous moment to be hosting a hangout when we get to find out that the ability to achieve this prize has just been made a little bit more real by extending that deadline. And with me to talk about how one of these teams is working to hit this new deadline is Michelle Lavillon from Team Italia, and she has been gracious enough to join us at the very end of her workday, and so thank you for joining us, Michelle. You're an associate professor at the Politecnico di Milano, and you work in the Aerospace Science and Technology Department. And you are actually one of the very first women that we've had on this hangout, and that is a wonderful change. So thank you for joining us. And can you tell me a little bit about what your team has planned for getting to the moon?
First of all, good morning, I think, to everybody, even if for us it's evening almost. And thank you, Pamela, for the introduction and the nice introduction to the team. So as it was been said just a few minutes ago, I'm involved in the Team Italia. That is just the national team, and this is one of the points that we are proud of, let's say, because few of the teams are actually national teams, apart for the Americans, but the US are too huge to talk about a nation small like Italy is. So from the price point of view, let's say we are classical in the sense that the team is made up of industries and universities that are related with space engineering since many years. Therefore, we have a classical approach to the space missions, and what we are, let's say, implementing at the time being is a lander so a vehicle that is launched by the moon by the Earth, from the Earth to the moon and traveling up to the moon. Then the same vehicle is going to land on the surface to release a rover, a wheeled rover, so a very classical solution. But the novelty, let's say, is in the fact that we want to insert some very peculiar and new technologies on that to be tested on board. So we make our strength in the deep knowledge of space engineering that we have, but we want to promote some enhancement in those already established technologies, let's say.
So, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is when people talk about NASA, when people talk about the European Space Agency, what they're actually talking about is a funding body that is quite often contracting university professors, contracting research staff, contracting companies like Boeing to build the rockets, build the equipment, do the science. With Team Italia, you are doing the same things that a space agency would do, but you're doing it without that space agency funding. How has that struggle been to figure out how to do all of these big space agency tasks without having that giant funding agency paying for what
Yeah.
you're working on?
This is for sure one of the main challenges that we have, and the Google Lunar XPRIZE poses, let's say, engineering that is used to lean on the agency's financial sustainment. From our point of view, what we are trying to do, and we are almost succeeding in doing, is involving private companies that are not strictly related with space, but they can have some technologies that could be nice to be applied in space, and therefore they have some interest in financing the project in order to have their let's say their hardware tested in a very harsh environment like the space is. So this is the main funding line, let's say. So private big companies that may have an interest from the technological point of view. And there is another very small line that is completely different. So the, let's say, visibility on the market, just giving advertisement that is very strange with respect to the classical advertisement done on ground. So having your logo and your brand put on the vehicle on the moon is something that is really impressive from the promotion, let's say, and public relations point of view for a company. So these are the two phases of our sponsorship, looking for, and private funding.
So while you're bringing new companies to work on the challenge of going to the moon, um, from what I understand, you're bringing expertise with your scientists and your engineers. You do have experience working on other spacecraft. Can you tell our audience anything about that?
So are you talking about a specific missions you have in mind?
So,
That
so I
one that
believe
lands just
I believe that you have team members that have worked on Rosetta.
Yeah. In fact, actually, the real, let's say, the main character in this very big adventure is actually Professor Finzi for our, for Politecnico di Milano. Professor Finzi is also the team leader for the Team Italia. And actually, the mission is called with her first name, that is Amalia. So the Team Italia mission is called Amalia, like her. And he is the prime investigator, the principal investigator for an instrument that is on the lander, that is the drill on Philae. And we hope to have the same success with the Google Lunar XPRIZE, let's say, that we have and we are keep having with this very challenging mission and very successful mission for all the world, let's say, but for the European teams firstly, let's say.
And landing on the moon, while an extraordinary challenge, is nowhere near as difficult as harpooning a
Yeah.
comet and attempting to stay put on such a low gravity surface. Uh, so it sounds like you've brought together a really awesome team over the years. Can you tell me a little bit about what got you involved in being part of the Google Lunar X Prize team?
That was again a choice given and done by Professor Finzi. She wanted to, she saw in this new way of looking at space a great opportunity, mainly for universities and new generations, let's say, another way uh, to promote the creativity the students and the young generation always have, and looking at the future in a very broad and more successful way than the older people, let's say. So we started from the very beginning. So it was at the end of the 2007. We were one of the most first teams that applied for the contest. And the other motivation was to, as I was mentioning a bit at the very beginning, was to put together the expertise that we have in our very small country, but very skilled country in this sense. We were the third nation to put a vehicle in space. So we have also quite a lot of expertise in the companies and the industry domain. So the motivation was to merge the industrial competence with the enthusiasm of the young generation we have on our country, let's say, and to promote the possibility to make the new ideas done according to the students we are plenty of course, being in university.
Now, I have to ask, as a woman in science, I know that I very rarely encounter other women who are working at such high levels, although that slowly seems to be changing. There seems to be more and more principal investigators who are women. Um, does your team find that you stand out for the number of women that you have engaged when you go to X Prize conferences or otherwise meet up with your teams? And has this led to any strange or awesome situations?
Unfortunately, I got your question in spots because of the connection,
Okay.
but
So I was asking, has being a team that has so many women in it led to any strange or awesome situations?
um, no, I can say no because at the time being, the space domain is quite well crowded by women. Start being crowded by women. The situation was a little bit different some years ago. So I think that the women presence is fundamental because sorry for the men who are listening and following the hangouts, but I think that the women has apart from the multidisciplinarity capabilities and multitasking capabilities that men don't have absolutely, uh, they are able to look at the, let's say, long terms evolution of programs and stuff a little bit better than men. So it's for sure an added value. Then to be merged, of course, men has the capabilities of being more detailed, precise, technically prepared. So the merge of the two genders is fundamental for its success, for sure.
That I hope that you're right that women are going to slowly play a larger and larger role. We're not seeing it quite as much here in America, but I have to admit I've always been impressed with the number of women that I see at the European Planetary Sciences conferences,
Uh-huh.
and I've met quite a few women from actually Italy as well at these meetings. Um, so we're now basically 2 years away from needing to be done with this conference. You're in that home stretch of trying to get everything done. Um, Leading up to this moment, what have been some of the greatest challenges that you've overcome?
I think that for sure the one of the most difficult aspects of these missions, apart the funding, that is the main one. So this is the biggest one. The technologically speaking is the lending aspects and the control for the lending procedures. And at the time being, we reach the qualification for the sensors that are needed for this phase. So I'm talking about cameras that have been built and qualified and tested in space, so they are ready for flying and for being the eyes for the landing phase. That is crucial, because if you cannot succeed in landing and you crash on the surface, of course everything is lost. So this is one point, and the other point is that we are on the road in finalizing the testing for the whole landing phase, from the let's say experimental point of view, doing a real landing with the algorithm that we implemented in lab. So this is one crucial point that we have almost solved, and we are quite happy about that.
Do you have any short-term things that you'd love our audience to know are coming up for your team?
Uh,
I know a lot of the
uh,
teams can't share what's coming up.
yeah, it's difficult, because from the technical point of view, we are plenty of short terms in the different areas we are dealing with. Also, for example, for the rover point of view, we are going to test some new solution for the wheels with a big company, quite well known worldwide, involved, and this will be a step over for the surface locomotion, let's say. Uh, we are going to have an activity strongly related with the testing for the landing, and this is another big point. I cannot say that we are going to sign the launcher, because this is not almost a step that we are getting to. So this is a step that we have to wait a little bit more, but we are confident that thanks to this extension, the feasibility of the mission becomes something really more real, let's say, from our perspective.
That all sounds really good. So we only have a couple minutes left in this hangout, and I'd like to thank our audience for joining us. And as we get ready to sign off, if you could say one thing um, that our audience will remember, what's the one thing you want them to remember coming out of this hangout?
That the space is not so far from the Earth, but is actually on the Earth, because space is done by the human beings, and is our creativity that is becoming real. So it's the future for the Earth coming from the space. So believe in the evolution in space and the technology for space to have a benefits on the Earth.
That sounds awesome. And so I have one, of course, they always come in at the very end. We have one question that's actually a pretty good question coming in, and I don't know if you can answer it. Herman Jacques is asking, where will you launch your rocket? Where are you going to launch from?
For sure, from an equatorial base, because it's the best saving for the fuel and the mass and the cost in that sense. We have some contacts with a launch provider that I cannot mention, because this is something that is covered, let's say, by
Yes.
property rights. But this is the most that I can say.
That sounds awesome, and I'd encourage everyone in our audience to, as Michelle says, know that space isn't that far away, and keep your awesome creative work going. And for those of you who want to learn more about the Google Lunar X Prize, follow us on Twitter, GLXP on Twitter. There's a Facebook page, And this is a really great day for the program. As I said at the top of the show, it's been announced that the deadline for success has been extended to December of 2016, provided that one team shows that they're manifested for launch as of December 2015. We'd also like to congratulate the Astrobiotic team for their accomplishments in the milestone prizes, and we still look forward to seeing who the remaining 9 milestone prizes are awarded to. This hangout occurs the second Tuesday of every month, and we will be coming back again in January. And thank you so much for joining us, Michelle, and being, I believe, the first woman in a leadership position that we've had in these hangouts. It's a nice change of pace. And enjoy your evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you may be in the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pamela, to you, and bye-bye.